Welcome back, True Seeker. Quick follow-up on the death of Kyle Busch at 41 in Charlotte, just before the Coca-Cola 600. Of course, those initials KB and that age of death, 41, and that city, Charlotte, remind you of Kobe Bryant, who died at 41. After being drafted into the NBA by the Charlotte Hornets with the 13th pick of the NBA draft. And in math, 41 is the 13th prime number. You might also recall that Kobe died just before the coronavirus really became a thing in the United States of America. And you might recall that Kobe was drafted at Corona Del Mar. Right now in the news, there's scares of viruses: hantavirus, norovirus, Ebola virus. And the funny thing about Kyle Busch's death from sudden severe illness, where they're still waiting to give us the rest of the story, is let me show you here. I'm going to go over a few things because since I made that last video, I've been listening and I got some more details. But yeah, right now, what is going on in the world is the 79th World Health Assembly. And the Ebola virus international emergency was declared by the WHO, who put on the World Health Assembly, the day before their meeting began, which was this past Monday, May 18th. It goes from May 18th to May 23rd. So Kyle Busch has died during the time of the 79th World Health Assembly. And if you're new here, there's this practice of coding numbers into words, which is quite enlightening when you learn about it. And it's very simple. There's 4 base ciphers of the English language. There are the alphabetic order, the reverse alphabetic order, and both orders with numerology applied. And you can see that Kyle Thomas Busch, the full name of Kyle Busch, his name equates to 79, just like the phrase severe illness and also like Society of Jesus. If you're saying, what's the Society of Jesus? That is the Jesuit order. They are responsible for the English language as we know it. They're responsible for the calendar. They pretty much run the World Health Organization. They pretty much run this country. And a lot of people don't even realize that the reason the capital is in Washington, D.C. is because of the Society of Jesus. The Roman Empire lives on in the Catholic Church and the Society of Jesus. And of course, as they say, all roads lead to Rome. And remember, the Romans used sport, gladiator, the Colosseum, to keep the masses in line. And yes, today is the 191st day of the leader of the Jesuit sage. And you can see how Society of Jesus has that 191. It also equals 56, just like coronavirus, just like Corona Del Mar, just like Anthony Fauci, just like Gavin Newsom, just like, again, if you weren't here in 2020, all these Jesuit men were the face of the coronavirus pandemic, including Trump, whose Jesuit education began 56 years before 2020. But the point I'm making is, there's a major parallel with Kobe, who was at the beginning of Corona, and now Kyle Busch dying supposedly from severe illness just out of nowhere. These stories are lies, but they are rituals connected to things that are larger than, say, the sport these men were known for. And don't forget, when Kobe died, he was in a pharmaceutical related lawsuit over a company using his Black Mamba branding. But okay. The 79th World Health Assembly, beginning on May 18th. Here, I just want you to see the 79th World Health Assembly in Geneva, Switzerland, from May 18th to May 23rd, right? The 18th. As I mentioned earlier, this 18 thing is big. Kyle Busch made NASCAR history when he won the 2018 Coca-Cola 600, which will be the race this weekend. He won that in the 18 car. He has died on a date that has 18 numerology. 18 is a number connected to a tragedy in NASCAR. Dale Earnhardt died on the 18th of February. Greg Biffle just died on December 18th. In light of the Jesuits, aka the Society of Jesus, their acronym is IHS. Those letters add up to 18, forwards and backwards. And this World Health Assembly meeting just began on the 18th of May. Also, Kyle Busch joined the sport at age 16. That reminds me of Greg Biffle. Remember, Greg Biffle was number 16. He died the day that NFL Week 16 kicked off, and he's from Washington State, who won that night. The Seahawks had their first ever 16-point comeback in the fourth quarter, beating the Rams, who they eventually beat in the conference championship before winning the Super Bowl with 16 points. And I was saying how obvious that Greg Biffle's sacrifice was, along with his family. But yeah, Kyle Busch joined NASCAR at age 16, and they had to make a rule because of him that you had to become, from that point on, you had to be 18. And don't forget that Kobe joined the NBA at age 18 too. Kobe Bryant, Kyle Busch, Charlotte, same initials, same age of death. I mean, and by the way, if you're new here, Kobe Bryant in gematria equates to 41. And speaking of the Jesuits who served the Roman Catholic Church, Kobe was traveling from Catholic Mass and died supposedly in a helicopter crash on the Pope's 41st day of his age, Pope Francis, who was the first Jesuit Pope. But yeah, if you missed all this stuff earlier about him dying on the 20th day of his age, again, we covered this, just how it connects with NASCAR and death. You could also say he died 19 days after his birthday, and I was listening to people talk about his career. He won, they said, 19 straight years in the Cup Series. He had a win in 19 straight years in the Cup Series, which is a record. Again, he's died 19 days after his birthday or on the 20th day of his age. For people who struggle with these things, you know, my birthday is July 21st, so July 22nd is one day after my birthday, but it would also be my second day of my age, if you follow. And once again, this is going to be the 67th Coca-Cola 600. 67 is the super fateful and deadly number. Kobe Bryant died on a date with 67 numerology. January 26, 2020. 1 plus 26 plus 20 plus 20, 67. But this will be the 67th Coca-Cola 600. Blood sacrifice and human sacrifice, 67. For the record, Coca-Cola equals 26. He's dead in the year 2026. Bryant equals 26. Kobe died on the 26th day of the year. Another thing that equals 26 is virus. Another thing that equals 26 is COVID. Another thing that equals 26 is China. I'm sure you remember the China virus. Kobe's buried in Corona del Mar. The China virus is kicking off in the U.S. And now this. So, yeah, I bet there's even more to it, but I really wanted to get this piece in here. And again, all the mainstream's reporting this with regards to the World Health Assembly. If you guys aren't following the World Health Assembly, last year at the 78th World Health Assembly, the pandemic agreement was reached, which they're finalizing in this year's World Health Assembly, and it's about making sure people get shots very quickly in the next pandemic. And notice what it says here. This is about Kyle Busch's death. The news comes 11 days after Busch radioed into his crew near the end of a Cup Series race at Watkins Glen, asking a doctor to give him a shot when he finished the race. I mean, the ritualism is so clear. And one little part of me wonders, is Kobe even dead? Is Kyle Busch even dead? Or are these stories that are meant to prep our minds for something else? Or were these men sacrificed for the same purpose? Corona del Mar's coronavirus kicks off. Again, look it up. Kobe was supposedly buried in an unmarked grave in Corona del Mar, which equals 56, just like coronavirus. Again, I have a book out there, Number Games. You can look it up on Amazon or any of these bookstores, online bookstores. My name's Zachary K. Hubbard. Look up the book Number Games. Very well reviewed. I got that book out early in 2020. I told people exactly when their scam-demic would end, and I was right on the money. I said it would end when the year of the tiger came around. Exactly what they did. And I was right about a lot of other things in that book too. And yeah, everything going on right now is reminding me of back then. But yeah, Kyle Thomas Busch, dead from severe illness during the 79th World Health Assembly. And remember, he did win back-to-back in 2018 and 2019 in the Coca-Cola 600. And now he's dead 19 days after his birthday, and he won 19 straight years in the Cup Series. Let me see if this comment that was left by Jason is true. Who won the Coca-Cola... I hate typing on a phone. Coca-Cola 600 last year. So many typos. Ross Chastain. Okay. Let me pull up Ross Chastain here. Ross Chastain, 33 years old. His full name is Ross Lee Chastain. I just got to run the numbers on his name real quick, just in case we're looking at another back-to-back type of thing here. You see the 168 in his name, you guys? You see that in his birthday is December 4th, right? That's the day leaving 27 days left in the year. Today's May 21st, the 141st day of the year. So 141 plus 27 is 168. So he's dead 168 days after last year's winner. Okay. Somebody didn't leave that comment, but somebody left a comment that Ross Chastain equaled 79. So that was including his middle name. How about that, you guys? Ross Chastain without the middle name is 79. In the same cipher that Kyle Thomas Busch, his full name is 79. So we have a double connection here with Ross Chastain. And that's the power of this knowledge, you guys. And a lot of people in my community have crushed NASCAR this year. Again, this knowledge, you can take advantage of the rigged games because they are rigged. The races are rigged too. Pro sports are rigged. If there's money on it, there's people that have to make sure it's rigged because they don't lose. They're called the casinos. All right. I'm going to look more into this. You should too. More people should talk about this. I see videos about the death. People talking about nothing, and they have tens of thousands of views. Here we are putting out the dopest information in the world, shadow banned. Those of you who get the content, you got to help get the word out there because the algorithm isn't helping. They want people watching the videos about guys saying, I was once around Kyle Busch, man, and he was even competitive at beer drinking, man. It's got like 50,000 views. I'm like, oh, great video. That's what we need to know. He was competitive at beer drinking. I'm glad that has 50,000 views. How about let's get some justice for all these celebrity sacrifices? I think it's a little bit